You definitely want somebody that's customer service oriented. Somebody that loves helping people is certainly a plus because what we do is fun. It's cool. It's amazing to kind of walk into a house that might not have been touched since the 70s and transform it.
Welcome to the Franchise Friend Podcast, where we bring you an exclusive peek into the world of franchise ownership.
All right. Thanks guys for joining. I'm here with Nick and Derek with HOMEStretch. And they are a newer franchise in our system. And they've seen a lot of traction here lately. I'm excited to have you guys on to share with my audience what HOMEStretch is all about. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Derek, for jumping on.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Hey guys. So, home services is hot. I think probably 60-70% of the people that I help end up in this category. The beauty in my eyes is that there is no brick and mortar, and you can come to your customer and network and use your skills in order to grow your business versus just hanging a sign and praying. Love this model. So if you could share with my audience, what HOMEStretch is, just kind of give us the 101 on what you guys are bringing to the market and where that gap was and how you guys see you guys fitting in markets for people who are looking for franchises.
Yeah, absolutely. The 101 is HOMEStretch is a home preparation service company. We help people get their homes cosmetically prepared to sell before they're listing their house. So think of a client that's stressed out. Maybe they're going through a death, a divorce, a downsize, a relocation. If it's, say, they're moving to an assisted living and the kids don't live in town, the 40, 50, 60-year-old kids don't live in town. They don't know how to get this home ready. There's wallpaper on the walls. There's green carpet. The house is full of stuff. The home hasn't been touched since 1988. So what we do is we come in, we let the family member know, hey, you don't have to worry about this process. We got you covered. Grab the items you want, grab your mementos, grab the expensive stuff. We will take care of all the trash and donation. So we first empty the home of all the unwanted items. Then from there, we neutralize all of the walls, the trim, the ceilings, get rid of the wallpaper, use a nice neutral color, on all the walls. Then we're doing carpeting, LVP. Again, stay neutral, keep it bland. Then we're doing landscape cleanup, just curb appeal, pull weeds, trim bushes, put down some fresh mulch or pine straw. Then from there, we're doing the home cleaning. So we're the cosmetic services to help get your home ready to sell.
So what does that look like? From a franchise owner? What's the day to day? I'm a franchise owner of HOMEStretch. I'm investing in this brand. What does my first 2-3 months look like, as a franchisee?
Yeah. So HOMEStretch is kind of a unique business. We're not that type of business where you're going to spend $10,000 and put it on Google Ads and then just wait for the deal flow to come to you. Our business works best when we have a franchise owner that's tied into the local community and wants to build deep and fulfilling relationships with realtors who are our primary referral sources. So those first 2 to 3 months are a lot of time spent kind of cultivating those relationships with realtors, educating them on what HOMEStretch does, because this is a new service. This is a new industry that we've created, this home preparation space. So a lot of the time has to be spent kind of going to realtors and letting them know, hey, instead of kind of being that general contractor that you've been doing throughout your career where you're managing 5 or 6 different vendors and doing all this stuff that you're not paid to do, let us take that burden off your plate. Let us be your easy button so you can go and sell houses, which is why you entered the space in the first place. So that business development aspect is certainly kind of the front point of the spear when you're building a HOMEStretch location. And then when the jobs come in, you kind of transition more to the operational side to make, the entire magic of HOMEStretch work.
Okay. That's good enough. So if, my first 3 months building the business, networking with realtors and, it's starting to build that referral base, build that snowball. Where else are you going to, you got realtors. Where else should people be looking at starting their referrals? What could other things that they could do in that first 3 months?
Yeah. Honestly, I've been in sales for 20 years and I'm always looking for the easy button. As a salesperson, I want to find where's the guaranteed 25 deals a month, And what we found is it's realtors. they have a massive need for this type of service. So I would say, that's 80+% of our lead flow comes from realtors. The rest of it has come from word of mouth and people talking about us. But our main focus is realtors. And what I love most about it, we're not selling these real estate agents anything. We're not asking them to spend money. So when we call them or network with them, they don't know this service existed. So you just kind of have to educate them on it. And if they've been doing it for 15 or 20 years, they may already have a service for each individual service we offer. But the whole there is they have to manage that process. They got to make sure the carpet person shows up on time, the painter is on time. And then like Derek said, they end up being that general contractor. So my pitch is let me manage that entire process. I will make this easy and I'll get it done in 14 days because we schedule every service. There's not a day where we're not doing a service at the client's home. So we get it done quickly and efficiently. But to circle back and answer your question, your main and primary focus is the real estate agents. And now with that being said, everyone's gone through, a lot of people have gone through death, divorce, downsize, relocation. So you can really network with anyone. Everyone knows someone who's gone through this. And it's like, oh my goodness, this was so stressful. So it relates to everybody. So really just talking to anyone about it. And then obviously your focus is real estate agents.
Awesome. So what are some of the challenges that are going to be presented as a franchisee? Like, you got somebody who's looking at this system. They're going to start looking like, okay, here's all this upside, where are they going to look and say, okay, like, how am I going to overcome this? How am I going to overcome this? And what are some of those challenges that some of the franchisees are going to be facing?
Yeah. I mean, this business, like we talked about it's not necessarily for everybody. This business works best when we have a committed franchise owner that kind of wants to be that owner operator and has a long-term outlook on building a business, because this isn't, a brick and mortar store where you kind of, open the doors and people start walking in and you're on your way. To make HOMEStretch work properly, you really have to kind of put in that time and energy cultivating these relationships, thinking through long-term strategic plays. For instance, maybe the real estate agent's complaining about a clean that we did in the house. And instead of us trying to fight that real estate agent and defend ourselves, we play the long game. We say, yeah, no problem. You're right. We can go fix that immediately. So a lot of this business is kind of thinking, beyond the next month. It's kind of thinking 1, 2, 3 years ahead and kind of making sure that everything we do continues to kind of build on the HOMEStretch brand and create that big moat that we have of just real estate agents that love us and clients that love us. And when that happens, the business really takes off.
So what's the, as far as a franchise owner, what are you guys looking for in a potential franchise candidate and somebody who's looking at HOMEStretch? What are you guys looking for?
We definitely want somebody that's customer service oriented. Somebody that loves helping people is certainly a plus, because what we do is fun. It's cool. It's amazing to kind of walk into a house that might not have been touched since the 70s and transform it and take that house back to its glory. So somebody that gets a kick of seeing transformation and seeing, their day-to-day activities actually result into something meaningful, not only for the business, but more importantly for our clients, because we can put extra money in their hands that they could then use to maybe put their mom into assisted living for another couple of years. And that's awesome. We also, want to work with franchise owners that like building businesses, because like we were talking about earlier, like this business is perfect for business junkies that want to grow empires. Like this business model, the revenue streams, everything kind of works perfectly for somebody that wants to build something big. And those are the type of people that we want in our brand.
Yeah. And to piggyback on that, there's kind of two main components. We're looking for someone with business development background who's used to the networking, used to the sales side, or we're looking for someone with the operations background. So if you're really heavy in operations and that's what you've been doing for 20 years, you can hire the business development person, to help. And the operations person is going to make sure the scheduling's right, make sure the quality is there. If you're kind of the business development salesperson, then you can hire that project manager to make sure all the jobs are scheduled, make sure the quality is there. So that's what we like about it too. And that's kind of the yin and yang that Derek and I have. Sales is my background. Derek's background is finance, technology and operations. So it's been a really good balance. So you can kind of have both sides of the coin there. So that's what we're looking for. Someone who's passionate about it. And what I love about it is You go into a home that is in deplorable condition and you transform it within 2 to 3 weeks. And so it's like you get that instant gratification and the client's thrilled because they just sold their home for a higher price. And the agent is thrilled because we gave them a professional service with a quality product. So it's kind of a win-win-win when you do the whole process correctly.
So, as far as like the support systems, could you share with us like what type of support you guys are going or offering to the franchisees? Maybe some technology stuff. Like if I'm a franchise, a potential franchisee looking at the system, I might be concerned like, how am I going to quote all this stuff? I'm like doing landscaping, I'm doing. They look at room painting, what kind of process have you guys put into place where it's going to help guide a potential franchisee through this?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, technology is kind of at the heart of the company. It's our secret sauce because the concept of HOMEStretch, it's pretty easy to grasp. Like everybody intuitively kind of knows what we do and sees the value proposition. But the hard part is how do you scale all these services into 50, 60, 70 jobs in a month? And the main way that we do that is through training processes and technology. So we have a pretty robust technology platform that does everything from, allowing in-home consultations to be done on an iPad by clicking a couple of buttons, by doing automatic quoting, again, by taking pictures, taking measurements, and clicking the services that we're offering, scheduling all of our jobs, CRM, having our clients accept quotes. All of that is done through a couple of technological systems that make it really easy for our franchisees to get up and going. But more importantly, kind of reinforce the HOMEStretch brand of kind of being that superior service offering that's differentiated from the local mom and pop competitors who we compete against. Our training is robust. We're really early in our franchise phase, and we know that we're going to have to, spend a lot of time and resources in really cultivating these franchises to make sure that they're feeling supported and they have the confidence to go out there and build a great business. So we have a 3-day training program in Cincinnati, Ohio, that covers everything from business development, operations, technology, kind of all our system onboarding, that everybody comes here, meets the team, and feels solely supported. And then following that, we have a pretty robust 90-day go-to-market plan. So when you launch your franchise, every single week is kind of outlined on, who you're dealing with on the corporate team, what topics we're discussing on a given week. And just, again, having those check-ins to make sure that everybody knows what to do, feels supported, and has the confidence to go out there and kill it.
So you guys owned this business before you franchised it, right? Like it was the two of you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so you guys built this in Ohio?
Cincinnati. Yep.
In Cincinnati? What was that territory like? Like how did you guys just do Cincinnati? Did you guys expand to other cities?
Yeah. So we started the business in 2019, Cincinnati, Ohio. Nick and I are actually childhood friends. We'll throw that out there as well. So we kind of went to grade school together, kind of lost touch when we went to separate high schools. And then I moved out to Washington, D.C. after college. Nick moved down to Charleston. But like every good Midwesterner, we found our way back to Cincinnati when we had families. So we were working at a same company kind of in the 2005-15 range. It was an online auction company that helped people sell personal possessions when they had a death, a downsize, or divorce in their family. Our company would go out and assess the jewelry and the artwork and the furniture and help them sell it online to give them proceeds that they could use for a variety of reasons. So Nick and I worked at that same company, kind of found our way back to each other. And through that company's experience, we just noticed time and time again that, while our clients were thrilled that we were making them money on their valuable items, what they needed help with, more importantly, was what to do with the house. The house is a person's biggest asset. It's that one thing that you only get so many opportunities to maximize. And if our clients were living in Denver, Colorado, and the house was in Cincinnati, Ohio, because their mom passed away, they were just stressed to the nines of like, oh my gosh, like, what do I do? Like, how do I get this thing ready to sell? And in 2019, like that light bulb went off for Nick and I. Were like, oh my gosh, like there's a huge need for just this one-stop shop that helps people get their houses ready to sell. So we quit our jobs in 2019, just Nick, me, and his truck. And we started HOMEStretch. We did everything ourselves in the early days. I'm the least handy person there is probably out there. I'm a terrible painter, but we kind of scraped and clawed and figured it out in the early days. But that made the business better. It kind of made us understand every single aspect of this business, every single nuance that goes into the operations, from the sales to the customer service. And we slowly but surely built Cincinnati up into a pretty sizable business from 2019 onwards. And then Nick and I were kind of looking at each other when we were, having some good momentum in Cincinnati and just thinking, hey, this thing might work elsewhere. I think this need isn't just a Cincinnati phenomenon. Why don't we try this in a new market? So we opened up our second corporate location in Columbus, Ohio in 2021. And our thought there was, hey, like if we hire the right person and kind of give them this rudimentary playbook, can we teach them how to do a home stretch in another market? So we hired a general manager and a project manager and kind of gave them our playbook and slapped them on the back and said, all right, guys, let's do this. And much to our surprise and delight, like the same need was in Columbus as it was in Cincinnati. The same clients had the same stresses. The realtors had the same stresses. And that's when we knew we were onto something. So that's when our vision started getting bigger and bigger into, this home preparation space is just a pain point that everybody who sells real estate is facing. How do we get HOMEStretch to be synonymous with the home preparation space and be the national leader in this new category? And for us, it kind of boiled down to, we knew HOMEStretch worked best when it was run by passionate business owners that had a vested interest in building something big and having local ties to the community. And franchising was kind of the no-brainer decision for us at that point. And here we are.
That's awesome. So whenever, if I'm building this business, how much of it is going to be, relationships with subcontractors, and how much of it is going to be employee based? What's your vision here? Is there a certain mix? Is it going to be different every market?
Yeah. So we run a hybrid model where we do have some internal employees, and then we also have subcontractors as well. We found that as we've gotten bigger, we found that it gives us the flexibility we need to be nimble and, fix stuff very quickly. In the beginning, for a new franchisee, we would highly suggest to sub out as much as possible to keep your fixed cost lower. And with the subcontractors, we keep them busy. We keep them busy until their dance card is full. Then let's go find the next subcontractor for painting. And then when his dance card or her dance card is full, let's find the next subcontractor. So they're kind of like family members at this point. I mean, the first guy that ever did our painting job, we're still working with him 5 years later. And they're like family, and we work with them constantly. We know their quality. They know our expectations. So we've really just gotten it down to a system. And that is kind of the secret. What we figured out is how to scale this. A lot of people struggle in this industry. They're 4 months out. They're 6 months out. They can't get to jobs quickly. And we figured out how to give a quality product and to scale the process as well.
So essentially partnering with the subcontractors at the beginning, but also be nimble maybe down the road where you can have a couple of guys on staff that can kind of fix things quickly and get things done quickly, and pick up some pieces. Is that right?
Totally. And the good thing about our business is that the services that we perform can be trained very quickly to anybody. And you can also cross-train the employees, right? So for instance, you can teach them how to do a clear out, how to do landscaping, how to do handyman tasks, how to do cleaning. And the employees like that because every day is a little bit different. It's not like you're hiring somebody just to do 40 hours of landscape, which is, pretty physically daunting. In a HOMEStretch work-life balance, one day could be a clear out. The next day could be a handyman task. Then maybe we're pressure washing. Then maybe we're doing some quality control work. So there's a lot of variety in it that kind of attracts, this position to some high caliber people.
So I'm gonna wrap it up with this last question. Nick, you you did this in 2019, and you were at the crossroads where a lot of people that I help are at, and where they're looking at whether it's HOMEStretch or franchising or getting into business for themselves. And it took a leap of faith. And so if you could share with my audience, what was that like? How did you overcome that fear, to get into business for yourself and see this vision through? So what advice could you give someone who's looking at getting into business for themselves and possibly considering franchising, possibly considering HOMEStretch?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess the first advice is you do have to take that leap of faith. You have to bet on yourself. You've done it. You're an entrepreneur as well. And 9 out of 10 times when you bet on yourself, you're going to succeed because you're going to put the time, effort, and energy in to win. When I jumped, I had 2 kids and I had a third on the way. I had a mortgage. I had a lot of responsibilities. And was it scary? Yes. But I knew the service was needed and I knew my abilities in selling and I can generate revenue really well. And I knew Derek's ability in operations and finance. So I knew I would not be able to outsell Derek's capability. So it's scary, and it's never 100% perfect. Like Google, Apple, Facebook, they're always tweaking. They're always getting better. Those are three of the most powerful companies in the world. The advice is, if you believe in yourself and you trust yourself, do it. If you don't have that faith in yourself, don't do it. But if you're willing to bet on yourself, go for it. If you know you're good at what you do, you will make yourself successful. And especially with our support and our structure and our training, I'd love to say we didn't make mistakes, but in the beginning, we messed up. We said yes too much. We were too hungry for revenue at times, and we'd get ourselves into bad situations. So we can guide you on where to spend your time, where to spend your energy. I tried to sell to 10 different verticals to see which ones worked. So we can really help expedite that process where you're going to be able to get to, the revenue you need to in year 3 instead of year 10 from learning all the mistakes that we, made in the very beginning years.
What about you, Derek? Do you have any suggestions for people who are looking at getting into business?
Yeah. You have to believe in yourself. I think that's absolutely true. And you also have to recognize that it is scary, and that's okay. Like, this is a very serious decision that I think everyone needs to, think through and consider. But I've done this twice now. And, like Nick, the second time I did it, I had kids and a mortgage. So the stakes are a little bit higher, but I think I always fall back to life is short. Like, if you have that feeling inside of you that you're not happy with your current life situation, you have to understand that the only way to change it is to take a risk out there. And the last thing I ever wanted to do is to be, a 70-year-old man looking back at my life and being like, man, like, if only I would have taken a shot, maybe my life would have been different, or maybe I would have found inner happiness. So I think every one of the franchise candidates need to kind of understand that, like, hey, you only have so many shots to take. And if you aren't happy with your current situation, like, you're going to have to take one of those risks to kind of shake it up. And I don't regret it for a day. I mean, being out there and building something with your hands and having somebody pay you money for what you built, it's the biggest rush I've ever had in business. I mean, Nick and I have been in this business for 5 years, and we still act like little kids when we get a deal approval. Like, it's like, you can't bottle that emotion. And, I've been in business for a while. I've worked for other companies, and I'm happier now than I ever have been. So I will tell all your listeners, while it is scary and while you do need to seriously consider it, when your gut tells you that there's a right opportunity there, it's time to bet on yourself and take that leap.
That's great. That's good stuff, guys. I'm excited about seeing you guys grow, and hopefully I'll be a part of that in some degree, and look forward to it, guys. And I appreciate you jumping on with me today.
Thanks so much for having us, Charles.
Yep.
Thanks, Charles. We appreciate it.